What's up guys, Ghost here, and today I'll be taking a look at all the different bombs available for the Japanese Zero and American Corsair planes in Battlefield 5. Which bombs are best for taking out infantry, tanks, what's the best specialization to run with them, and when should you use them. So when the Pacific launched, the incendiary bombs were by far the best choice, mainly because they weren't that hard to hit targets with without the aiming reticle. As long as you were in the ballpark of where the enemy was standing, you'd pretty much be guaranteed a kill or two, or at least a few hit markers. But the 500 and 1000 pound bombs had to be a direct hit on a tank to do any decent amount of damage, a pretty hard thing to do with no real way to aim them. But since patch 5.2 brought the aiming reticle, pilots have started to discover just how potent the other bombs can be, and the incendiaries have some real competition now. Alright, so the first bombs we're going to take a look at are the 500 pound bomb in the Corsair, or if you're flying in the Zero, it's the 532 pound bomb. But don't worry, it really doesn't make a difference, they both seem to do the same amount of damage. The 500 pound bombs have become pretty popular amongst pilots. So you get two of these with every resupply, and these things are pretty capable of one-shotting a tank, as long as they're both a direct hit. They're also really good at taking out infantry too. You have to aim them well and be on target, but one of these is enough to one-shot infantry players, so you can use one bomb on your first strafe and then save the second for when you come around again. But I definitely recommend dropping both of them on enemy armor if you want to snag the kill. Now, I wish I could give you guys a solid maximum damage number the 500 pound bombs can do, but unfortunately, testing the exact damage numbers is very difficult without some people to help me out. We do have community servers now, but you need a minimum of 4 people to begin the round, so it isn't something that I can test alone. Of course, you can also look at vehicle hit numbers to see how much percentage you took off, but then again, you never really know whether you were completely on target or not, or perhaps one of the bombs veered off slightly and was only a partial impact. And of course, if you do get a kill on a tank, it's very possible that he may not have had 100% armor remaining from a previous engagement. But on most strafes, where I believe my aim was spot on, I've seen vehicle hit numbers up to 99% damage, so I believe that if your aim is perfect, these bombs are capable of one-shotting a tank with 100% armor. And I generally find that I get a vehicle kill about 4 out of every 5 strafes with them. Okay, so to go over the preferred loadout quickly. Pretty standard loadout that almost everybody is using, only obviously you take the 500 pound bombs instead of the incendiaries. The only deviation I would possibly make is taking the ammo resupply specialization in the 5th row center instead of the flares. These bombs do take quite a while to recharge, and most of the time you'll find that you've dropped your bombs, gone back and resupplied them, are ready for another strafe, but the bombs simply haven't recharged yet. So if you have, say, a wingman on your team who's using flares, you can probably get away with taking ammo resupply instead. However, if you're just playing by yourself in a public game, then I would always run with the flares because they're just so good, and it sucks when nobody has them. Okay, so moving on, we have the 1000 pound bomb, or once again, if you're in the Zero, it's the 842 pound bomb. So you only get one of these instead of 2, but it's supposedly twice the magnitude of the 500 pound bomb, or one would think so. In fact, I think the tooltip states that they are designed for taking out heavy armor, whereas the 500 pound bombs are described as all-purpose bombs. In my experience, these things feel worse than the 500 pound bombs in almost every instance. They don't seem to have any extra splash on infantry, despite being twice as big as the other bombs. They don't kill tanks most of the time in a single strafe. I typically notice the 500 pound bombs hitting armor for around 80 or 90 damage, whilst the 1000 pound bomb usually only hits for like 70 or 80. Oh, and also don't forget that you only get one per resupply, so splitting up the payload isn't possible either. Like, I guess there's nothing wrong with the 1000 pound bomb really, but I just don't see any reason why you would want to take it over the 500 pound bombs, since they do everything better. You can kill twice as many infantry with them, because there's 2 of them. They do more damage to tanks. And if we take a quick look at the specialization screen, it doesn't get any better. So again here, you'll notice another downside of taking this bomb, it makes taking the flares impossible. You're basically left with either AT mines or the ammo resupply specialization, neither of which are anywhere near as good as flares in my opinion. I'm pretty sure DICE designed these bombs to be, you know, the big tank busters of the Pacific Fleet, but I think they need a bit of a buff in the tank damage department, or at least some heavy splash. Okay, so finally we have the almighty Incendiary bombs. Now we all know how good these are, but they have seen some minor nerfs in patch 5.2. The explosion and fire radius is a little bit smaller, they don't burn infantry for quite as long as they did, and now you can only drop one at a time. So you still get 2 bombs, but you have to wait for them to recharge before you can drop the second one. So I've actually found that this has opened my eyes to how effective they can be. Before patch 5.2, I would always instinctively drop both bombs on the same target. I don't really know why, I just didn't give much thought to dropping one and leaving the other for the following strafe. But upon experimentation, I've discovered that one of these is plenty enough firepower to take down a small clump of infantry. And it's even easier than it was before, because now you have the new aiming reticles. So you can spot infy with the flares, loop around, go down and strafe with your 20mm cannons, and before you pull up, drop a bomb on somebody, and then come around and do exactly the same thing again before you resupply, since you've got a second one in the tank. Loadout wise, it's the same old incendiaries and flares, although here again, you could take the ammo resupply, but I would say that's more worth it with the 500-pound bombs, since you get 2 incendiaries that both need to recharge independently anyway. Now, if you're sat here thinking, well, that's all well and good, Ghost, but how do I actually aim with these reticles and make sure my bombs are on target? It's fairly simple. So your aim is to line both circles up as perfectly as you can on top of your target. Just try to keep your plane level without yawing too much to the left or the right, and then dive down on top of your target. Although try not to come in too steeply so your plane doesn't obscure your view of the target. Don't release the bombs too early either, because they could veer off course, and if you're trying to hit a moving tank, you're going to have to guesstimate where he will be when your bombs land and aim a little bit ahead of him. Give yourself enough airtime, and with a bit of practice, you should get the hang of it. So there you go guys, that's my little bomb guide and rundown for which bombs are the best and in which situations you should be using them for the Pacific Plains in Battlefield 5. I hope I was able to help some of you guys out. If you find these tutorials useful and you have something else you want me to cover, feel free to post that in the comments down below and I'll do my best to help you out. Have a good day guys, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.